Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you guys a guide to hunting New Mexico. In this video we're going to go through three different species of quail. We're going to first start off with Montezuma Quail, then we're going to move on to Scale Quail, and then move on to Gambel from there. First off, this is the start of the Montezuma Quail. We hunted near the Gila Mountains and the Black Forest, or the Black Canyon, sorry, my bad. This is kind of the stuff we hunted. It was probably like at, 8,000 elevation, and like on the peak of the mountains. And like when we were looking for these quail, we kind of wanted to find like the flats on top of the mountains, so the plateau of the mountain. And we ended up driving down this road that I'm showing you right now, and we seen some quail run across in Montezuma. So, and luckily, like all of New Mexico is pretty much all walking. So, we pulled over, checked on Onyx, make sure it was walking, and it was. So we jumped out and started walking this stuff, and from there on, we kind of just kept on hunting the plateaus, and just you know you got to get to like high elevation to hunt these birds. And luckily we found them between the Gila Mountains and the Black Canyon. Now, we did some research before coming out to New Mexico to hunt these birds, and there's a lot of people out there that said that they've gotten birds in the Gila Mountains and then also in this Black Forest or Black Canyon. This is the Black Canyon that I'm showing you right now. Me and my brother just looked at it and said, I don't really want to walk that stuff, so we just stayed on top of the plateaus of the mountains that are behind me. And yeah, this is just what the Black Canyon looks like. If you guys want to hunt this, you absolutely can. It's just me and my brother prefer not to. Now, when we were looking for these birds, we kind of just wanted to find, tallish grass on top of these plateaus. And this grass that I'm walking in is probably like, I don't know, shin high. It's not too terribly tall, but that's what we were getting into these birds into. And then on the sides of these mountains as well. Next up, we're moving on to scaled quail. These birds are like on like the base, the very flats of the mountains. They prefer like no elevation. So we got into these birds at like 4,000 elevation. And they're runners. These birds love to run. They'd rather run than just sit. So currently right now I'm showing you guys a footage of me just running after these quail. They started to run probably like 50 yards ahead of us, and then they'd get out there and just go and go. It was really, really tough hunting these birds, but we found these near the Florida mountains in New Mexico and Deming, New Mexico. And so like when we're hunting for these birds, what me and my brother kind of figured out is we're trying to find tallish grass and then like thick cover that they could run into when they're trying to run away from predators. And this grass that I'm walking to over on my right in this clip is probably, I don't know, ankle high. It's not too terribly tall whatsoever, but this green like brush type stuff is what they were running into. They'd sit like right on the edges of the grass, and then right when we're getting up to them about 50 feet, they'd just run into that stuff. Now, we did have some sit for us. Like in that clip, we had like 2 coveys of quail sit for us. In total, we seen 6 coveys of quail in 2 days of hunting, and they're just really tough birds to get into. We kind of just tried looking for tallish grass and thick cover that they could go into, and that's kind of how we just pinpointed the places we wanted to hunt. A lot of people said hunt near the Florida mountains, and so we went over to the Florida mountains to try finding, the scale quail over there as well. And we ended up getting into a covey over there. They just ran on us, so we couldn't really get into them fully. But this clip is what the Florida mountains looks like. In the areas to hunt around. We kind of tried pinpointing like yucca plants and then cactuses, because that's what these scale quail will eat, and then that's also what they'll roost in and have cover. Um, but there's a bunch of thorns and stuff out there, and we didn't really find too terribly much thick stuff to get into that they could run through. Instead, they were just kind of weaving through, the thickets and brush like that. So we just kind of stuck around the flats right by Deming, basically. Next, we're going to jump into the Gambel quail. And me and my brother's opinion, this is probably one of the easier quail to shoot in New Mexico. They kind of just look at these washouts for cover. Right now what we're hunting is we found this really good spot where there's 2 crop fields on both sides, and there's a little washout right here that they kind of just got into. The grass in the center is probably chest high, and then there's kind of like a little road on top that we're standing on right now. So we're just shooting these things right off this road here. And it was super easy and fun. We absolutely loved it. We see tons of birds just in this little, I don't know, it's probably the size of a football field, 100 yards. It wasn't a too terribly big washout, but we probably got up 2 coveys, roughly like, I don't know, 50, 60 birds. Now, we did get really lucky at finding the washout that we're shooting in right now. It is near the same place as the scale quail that we got into. Those mountains in front of me, right to the left, is the exact same mountains that we got into the scale quail. It's right beside Deming, the Florida mountains. Florida mountains are a little bit farther away, and then La Crosse. We're pretty close to La Crosse, and that's where we did our research and seen most of the guys wanting to hunt around La Crosse and like hatch. But this is exactly where we got our birds. I don't know if you could find these crop fields. There's a nice washout you guys could get into. We scored pretty big. Everyone was saying that you gotta look for these washouts and stuff to shoot in. Now these birds, they don't really have a set in stone elevation point. They could be in the flats, in the washouts in the flats, and they could be up in the mountains. We did get into a covey of quail that was probably like 5,000, 6,000 feet elevation. We didn't look at it 100%, but we got into them. That's when we were looking for these Montezumas that they're also by the Gila Mountains. Yeah, that's where we got them into. These Gambels basically cover the whole state in New Mexico. Well, like the lower half of New Mexico. The scale quail cover like almost the whole state. But, we told you where we found them, so if you guys want to try those places, go for it. Be my guest. Now, we did find out that these Gambels that we were shooting at, once we shot at them, they kind of hit the ground and then, stayed still with all this thick cover. But we did get into a couple more coveys other than in this washout that they kind of ran a little bit from us, and then they would bust. But, yeah, if you just look for these washouts, it's super great for these birds. And the Montezumas, and they like to sit as well. You'll kick them up, and then they'll hit the ground and basically just sit there. It's really easy to get into them again and bust them up again. Now, the scale quail, on the other hand, it's a one-time thing. Once you hit them and bust them out of their covey, once they hit the ground, they're hauling ass. They're running. Occasionally, you could get into them again. We did have that happen before. I think we got lucky, though, because once they hit the ground, they ran into a ravine where it went to a dead end, so they couldn't go anywhere. But, yeah, if you guys thought this video was interesting and helped you out as a guide, consider liking and subscribing, and check out my other videos. I posted my New Mexico quail hunting video, so go ahead and check them out. Thank you.